Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of the Livestyle podcast. The right place to get connection with your audience. Yes, you are in the right place, come on. And I'm starting with this guy. I'm his follower for a long time. Come on, Marc Ronick.
Hello. How are you? Oh, nice. I like this. You got quite a setup here at Podfest.
Yeah. People don't know, but we are in the Podfest right now. It's in Orlando. We are in January 2024. And Marc, first of all, I'm really your fan.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm your follower for a long time. And let me ask you, what are you expecting from this event, Podfest 2024?
This is my third event at Podfest, and I think what I usually expect out of it is to meet a lot of interesting people and network. I have the most fun, and I find it the most productive for me when I'm in the hallway talking to all these different people and getting to know them. I've gotten business out of it. I've made friends out of it. It's a wonderful experience. And I get a lot out of the different presentations and workshops that go on. I don't want to discredit those, but I really do seem to get the most out of the one-on-one or the connections that I make here.
Yeah, because it's hard for us. We make content for the internet. We know people by Wi-Fi.
Yeah, right.
But here is different, right?
Yeah, it feels very lonely when we're making content sometimes by ourselves.
Yeah, man, that's it. Yeah, for me, I feel like that. Sometimes we are alone. We have a lot of followers, but we are alone. Yeah. And for me, when I'm in a live content, for me it's different. For me, I feel like I have other people with me. And do you make a live content too?
I do, actually, yes. I every day, Monday through Friday, in the mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern time, I host a room on Clubhouse, which a lot of people know from the pandemic. And then once things started opening up, a lot of people stopped using it.
Yeah, I didn't know Clubhouse is still working.
Yeah, it still works. And I've built up quite a community. And basically every morning at 7 in the morning, I get together with all different podcasters and content creators. And I lead this room into different discussions about some of our struggles, some of our triumphs, and everything in between. We teach each other different methods, different strategies, and it's been a wonderful experience. And like I said, built a great community. A bunch of them are here today. So it's really fulfilling to do that. And just to your point, having people to interact with, it really makes a big difference.
Yeah. I'm a math teacher. And now I'm a podcaster teacher too for Brazilians.
No, cool.
And you are a teacher in the first place. In my opinion. But now you teach another podcasters.
Yes.
Right. But when you start to make podcasts and something like this, how was your beginner?
Oh, where did I start? So actually, I've been doing this for almost 20 years now.
Oh, man.
And when I first started, it was, I have a passion for football, American football.
Oh, no. It's not football. Football is soccer. Soccer is football for us Brazilians.
That's why I made sure to clarify that. And yeah, so the National Football League, and there's a hobby of mine, fantasy football. And I ended up doing a podcast about fantasy football, giving people advice about which players I thought were going to perform really well that week. And yeah, that was just me finding my passion and then being able to share it through podcasting.
Oh,
yeah.
nice,
And I've done all sorts of different types of shows since then for myself. My most popular one was called The Mark and Lowell Show, and it was a friend of mine, and we together talked about our lives from 30 years ago to today now as parents, and it got very popular, over 1 million downloads over its tenure. And yeah, it's a passion of mine. I think radio was something that I loved growing up. And then when I discovered podcasting, it just seemed like a perfect fit for me.
Nice. I have a question out of podcast.
Sure.
It's about American football.
Yes.
How can I explain Brazilians that a game that you play the ball with the hand called football?
I still am trying to figure that out. I had no idea why it's called football.
Oh, man.
I mean, yes, there's a little bit of kicking in football, but really it's mostly throwing, and doesn't make sense.
Few moments, yeah. Okay.
Silly Americans.
Let's go. And when do you start to make videos?
Good question. I think really I didn't take video seriously from a podcasting perspective until sometime after the pandemic. And I saw a need for it on social media. It was getting super popular on social media, especially with TikTok and Instagram Reels and that sort of thing. So that really introduced. So I was a TV producer before I started my business 4.5 years ago. So I always loved video, but as far as podcasting, it just seemed like that's just audio. That was just the way I looked at it. But I started to see the value. People like to be able to, especially when we were all locked down during the pandemic, they like to see their eyes. They see each other's eyes, and there's something powerful about that. So then I started noticing, you know how people with podcasters, when they're promoting an episode, they used to just promote it with audio. They would put it up on TikTok or Instagram, and it would just be a graphic with maybe a little animated wave going across the audiograms.
Yeah.
And I was starting to notice those weren't really doing well anymore. So I said, let's try it with video. And I saw a huge difference, a huge response from audiences. And so ever since, I've been encouraging that to other podcasters.
Yeah, I found you on Instagram. And I think every podcaster have a power in the video for social media.
Yeah.
I think even if you want to make a audio podcast, I think to make videos, backgrounds, videos, something that you can use in social media, I think it's important to share your messenger for everybody.
Yes, that's what I tell my clients, is that it's okay if you really want to be focused mostly on audio, but I still encourage them to turn a camera on and capture everything while you're doing your podcast, or even when you're working on your podcast, just to capture a bunch of different footage that you can then go and share with the world, share with your audience on social media to help promote your podcast.
Yeah, and do you think even people who are in the beginning, they want to start a podcast, should they start with video?
Yeah. So yes, I think even if they don't invest in nice cameras like you have here, right? If they just want to use their computer camera. But yeah, I think it's important. Yeah, I think it's important to still capture the video, even if nothing else, for yourself to go back and look at after you've been podcasting for 100 episodes. Go back and look. But yeah, I think it's important. It's just sometimes I think people feel they have to spend a lot of money right away on all the equipment, and I think that could be a mistake, only because they may end up finding out they don't like it. So I'd rather them invest in something like a decent microphone and use whatever else they have as far as a camera and just capture it. They don't have to spend a lot of money or a lot of time on it in the beginning. But it really all comes down to what their goal is, right? If they're doing this for their business and they're trying to build up their brand name, then I would consider spending a little more money on a camera.
Sure.
Right? But if they're doing it for a hobby at first to see if it's something they like, I don't want them to invest a fortune when it really could only cost them maybe $250 or less to get going, to get started.
Okay.
Yeah.
If someone wants a podcast as a business, how can we make this sustainable? How can we make money like this? In your with a podcast, how can we monetize a project as a podcast?
I think that it's actually, a lot of people think if I have a podcast, maybe I'll turn it into a business and make a lot of money. And that's very possible. I think it's a more challenging path for most people. I think the way to monetize a podcast is to use it as part of your marketing strategy for a bigger project, for your business, something like that.
Oh man. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, look, I built a business off of that podcast I told you about, the Mark and Lowell show. We were able to find advertisers. We would sell bonus content, right? We would do free content. And then to our really loyal fans, we also would sell additional content because they wanted more, right? So there is a place and you can make money on a podcast, but I think where it's most powerful is to help you expand a brand, help you get the word out about whatever business or project you're working on. Use it almost like a funnel. It's almost at the top of a funnel, right? Because if you do it for free, that's where you're hopefully bringing people in and gathering a community, and then you can get them into your ecosystem and start sharing with them the different services and products that you have to offer.
Okay. And let me ask you again about live content.
Yeah.
What is the difference and make one recorded content and a live content? What is the difference to create a community and something like this?
Well, I find, first of all, it's a challenge, I think, to build a community in general. So either one, I think, has its own challenges. When it comes to live, I find that doing it regularly is really the way to help, at least for me, the way to help me build my community. Doing it every day, Monday through Friday.
Day?
Yeah,
for
an hour a day. Because what happens is that, especially if you're doing it on a platform like YouTube or Clubhouse, whatever it is, I think to do it at the same time every day, people start to notice that you're there. And especially on Clubhouse, you pop on that app at 7 in the morning. If that's one of the things you do in the morning, you're going to start seeing my room on your screen, on your feed, and it might get you a little curious and eventually come in there. So I think doing that consistency and being somebody that people can rely on and know that you're there all the time makes a big difference.
And the people won't be tired of your face. Oh man, this man again. Oh no, every day.
Right. That's right. And then when you do recorded content, it is still about that consistency. It's about showing up when you say you're going to show up. It's telling your audience, my show is every Wednesday. Every Wednesday you can expect a new episode, and then following through on that. If you start faltering on that and maybe, I'll get it next week, and then people start to lose faith in you. And they may not, it's not necessarily a personal thing. They're not going to be angry with you, but they're going to just go and look to fill that void somewhere else. So that consistency piece is really the key, whether you're doing it live or whether you're recording it. I don't think you have to record and put out content as a podcast every single day. Okay. I think you could do that once a week and be okay with it. But I think you have to make sure you're also being consistent and showing up in other places for your audience, like social media. If you find your audience is on Instagram, make sure you're posting to Instagram regularly as well. You have to cater to your audience and know really where they are and meet them there and provide more value for them over there.
Yeah, when I started to make a podcast, I thought I need to have the maximum pieces possible. And with one episode, I did 30 pieces to Instagram. But now I think it's not necessarily too much. What do you think for social media? Or do you think one piece every day is a good balance for a content creator?
I think that's what all the experts say, right? They say that, Gary Vee says you have to post 3 times at least a day. And I respect that. I think, though, the problem is that a lot of people are putting out mediocre content because they're just trying to make sure they're getting 30 pieces of content out or 3 a day. And I think what that's doing is it's actually hurting the content that people are sharing with us. I'd rather see somebody post a little bit less and put in more work and make a better value production with their stuff.
And
thank you.
Yeah. Not quantity, not only quantity. Yeah.
It's quality.
Yeah,
it's all about quality.
Yeah.
And so, and look, I've fallen in that trap. I've been there where I think, okay, I got to just make something every single day. And it got me frustrated. I got tired, and my content suffered. The quality suffered. So this year I've made a conscious effort to intentionally not put out as much content and just focus on the value that I'm delivering, and both in the production and in the message that I'm sharing.
Yeah. And don't you think we are in a good moment for someone who wants to start some project as a podcast? Because now it's easier to make editions, it's easier handle with technology. Don't you think it's easier for someone in this moment?
Easier to put on a podcast?
Yeah.
Yes. And in some ways it's a lot easier. But for what I find, a lot of people come to me who want to start a podcast and have no idea. And what I quickly discover is there's a lot for them still to know and do, right? There, you have to know what kind of microphone, do I need to have headphones, and what kind of headphones? And then how do I get my podcast on Apple, and how do I get it on Spotify? And then I have to teach them about places like Libsyn and Buzzsprout and all that. And there's a lot of moving parts. So it is easier to podcast, but there's a lot that you have to know to get started.
You have a lot of things to know. But few years ago, you don't have Anchor, Spotify for podcasts that you can send to one place and they send to a lot of places.
Yeah.
And I think when you put on YouTube a content as a podcast, the content is in my case live. It's live. It's podcast in playlist podcast is on YouTube Music. I think it's easier right now.
It is. It's definitely easier right now because so many people, especially come the pandemic, so many people started podcasting. So there were a lot of opportunities for people, whether it's for microphones or software. They've stepped up and made it a lot easier for these people to do that. It became more mainstream, right?
Yeah. Okay, Mark, that's it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for following me.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to follow you back if I'm not already. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Livestyle, you see there. It's my Brazilian channel, but now I'm starting an American channel.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you are the first guest.
I'm honored.
In this project.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you,
honored.
man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, and where people can find you.
Yes. You can find me. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Marc Ronick, and that's MARC, and then it's RONICK. And you could find me pretty much anywhere under that handle. So yeah, please check me out on Instagram, on TikTok, on Clubhouse, YouTube, all the things. I'm over there.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for this time, your time here with us. And we'll keep in this event. And I'll try send to you all information that I get here. See you. Bye.